Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely fascinating. We're going to look at how ancient texts, written literally centuries ago, managed to describe the earliest, most hidden stages of human development in the womb. And they did this way before we had the technology to actually see it happening. It really brings up an incredible question, right? How did humanity describe the origins of life centuries before the microscope even existed? Today, modern embryology relies on high-tech optics, ultrasounds, and cellular imaging just to understand how we grow. But humanity has always been endlessly curious. We were observing, theorizing, and describing the mechanics of life long before any of those modern tools were around.
Section 1. Life before the microscope. Ancient observations.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer scale of the timeline. We're looking specifically at an Islamic Hadith, a remarkable historical text that outlines the sequential stages of human development in the womb. Notice that number, 1400. This text dates back a staggering 1400 years ago. When you wrap your head around that massive time gap, it introduces a profound historical puzzle. How exactly were these specific physical descriptions of fetal development formulated so many centuries before the formal observational science of embryology was even established?
Section 2. The Hadith on Embryology, a linguistic journey.
Okay, let's dive into this by looking at the words themselves. We're exploring the highly specific Arabic terminology used in the text to describe the human journey before birth. The ancient sequence kicks off with the word Nutfa, which translates to a drop of fluid. This establishes a very clear, grounded visual right from the jump. It points to a single fluid drop acting as the fundamental origin point of human development. And you can see how this builds in the next phase. The text moves from that drop of fluid to Alaqa, translating to a clinging clot. Notice the highly descriptive physical nature of this word. It paints this vivid mental picture of something that physically clings, attaches, or hangs in place as it just begins to grow and take shape in the womb. From there, the text describes the Mudghah stage, translating to a chewed-like lump. Now, this is incredibly visceral imagery, isn't it? When you picture the very early, somewhat irregular forms of a developing embryo, which, by the way, often features small indentations called somites that look remarkably like teeth marks, this descriptive language really hits the nail on the head in capturing a specific texture and physical shape. So, when we bring all these individual terms together into a timeline, we get a highly structured sequence. Step 1, the drop of fluid. Step 2, the clinging clot. Step 3, the chewed-like lump. And then the text continues the progression to Step 4, the formation of bones, followed finally by Step 5, clothing those bones with flesh. Actually, breaking it down this way is like looking at a biological roadmap, giving us a tool to clearly visualize the exact progression exactly as it was outlined in this ancient text. Section 3, Paralleling Modern Science, Ancient Text Meets Modern Biology. And this brilliantly illustrates the overlap we've been talking about. We're looking at how these ancient, linguistically rich descriptions align conceptually with what we actually understand about early fetal development today. On the left side, we've got the ancient Hadith terms, like the clinging clot and the chewed-like lump. On the right side, we have the corresponding stages mapped out by modern embryological terminology. The striking visual and conceptual parallels between 7th century descriptive language and the precise vocabulary we use in modern science today, it's just a fascinating intersection of history and biology.
Section 4. The Keith-Moore connection, a high-profile intersection.
Now, this overlap certainly hasn't gone unnoticed by the scientific community. Professor Keith Moore was a highly prominent anatomist and embryologist, and his engagement with this specific hadith is frequently cited in discussions surrounding science and theology. Because of his extensive background, Moore's involvement makes this one of the most famous, visible intersections of modern science and ancient religious texts. But as with any academic study of historical documents, we do have to responsibly pivot to the broader academic context. It's absolutely crucial to carefully qualify how we read historical texts. Scholars have actively discussed and debated the translation of these terms. Think about it. Moving these highly descriptive Arabic words from a 1400-year-old context into modern English scientific concepts, well, it remains a subject of ongoing and active scholarly debate. Words carry deep nuance, and mapping ancient linguistics perfectly onto modern science is, for sure, a really complex task. Section 5. A point of reflection. Navigating the nuance. So, the crucial point is that in this explainer, we're examining a fascinating linguistic and historical parallel. We're exploring how humanity observed itself. We're not validating an absolute scientific claim. This material is best approached impartially, simply as a point of reflection and discussion. It's not presented as some absolute scientific proof, nor is it an uncontested consensus within the global scientific community. Rather, it's a captivating look at how early humans attempted to categorize, describe, and understand the complex stages of human life, centuries before the microscope gave us a literal window into the womb.
I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. What does the intersection of 7th century language and modern biology tell us about humanity's enduring quest to understand life? From ancient observations passed down in historical texts to the highly precise optics of modern labs, our drive to understand exactly where we come from is universal. It's timeless. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep reflecting, keep asking great questions, and keep exploring.